Now, back to Inside West Virginia Politics with Mark Curtis.
And welcome back this weekend to Inside West Virginia Politics. We're going to switch gears now and talk about that plan known as Build Back Better, joined by Gary Zuckett. He's the Executive Director of West Virginia Citizen Action. It is a tongue twister to say that, Build Back Better.
Absolutely.
Good to have you on the program again. Listen, you support this plan. What's in it? Give us some of the highlights and why you support this. It's now $1.75 trillion.
Well, the Build Back Better proposal, it's gotten a lot of mud thrown at it, but when you drill down into the individual components, those things pull very well, even here in West Virginia, because they do a whole lot of good for a whole lot of people.
We're talking about child care, we're talking about pre-kindergarten, we're talking about elder care in the home. Give us some of the other, and why are those so necessary? First of all, child care.
Well, we just got done passing the infrastructure bill, the roads and bridges bill, and this complements that because, yes, you need roads and bridges to get to work, but you also need child care. If you can't take care of your kid, you can't get to work. So it really meshes very well. And under the lower child care and family costs, most families would see up to a 50% reduction in their child care costs, averaging at least $100 a week savings.
That's significant.
It is. And the rest of the country under this plan would have what West Virginia has now, which is universal preschool. And we know that when kids get into school earlier, they do better, they go farther, they make more money, and they're more successful. Family and paid medical leave is a big one. It's estimated that this would replace nearly $200 million in West Virginia lost wages from workers who have to take time off to take care of kids or take care of elders, things like that. It extends the expanded child tax credit.
Let's talk about that for a second, because that's to a lot of people the real highlight in here. The child tax credit, meaning the parent gets back money every month, or when they do their tax returns in April, how does it work?
It's a refundable tax credit, and it is a monthly payment for 98% of the kids in West Virginia would be covered under this. It's, brought 40 or so thousand kids in West Virginia out of above the poverty line, and it's getting used for essentials. It's getting used for back to school stuff. It's getting used for car payments, rent payments, food. This is basic necessities. The President Trump said that the system is rigged, and he was right, and it's rigged in favor of those at the top. This whole package is designed to unrig the system and make it more fair.
There's a lot of people who are for many of these things individually. Senator Capito, for example, said, we should do these things and deal with them as separate pieces of legislation and not tie them to the roads thing. Your thoughts on that?
Well, look how hard it was to get the infrastructure bill passed when they could actually even all agree on it. Dividing these things up and doing them one by one, it would take forever, and the majority of them would never get done.
The big objection, and I get this from the opponents of they're not necessarily against the programs, they're against the cost. $1.75 trillion. We've already spent, I think, $6 to $8 trillion on COVID relief efforts. The infrastructure roads bill was $1.2 trillion, and they're worried about dumping all of this on the next generation, their children and grandchildren, adding to the national debt.
I'm glad you asked that question, because it was funny, because when they were passing the Trump tax cuts in 2017, at the end of the year, in the dark of the night, nobody cared about how much it was going to cost. It ended up costing $2 trillion. So this is paid for. This is paid for by increasing taxes on the wealthy. There's a billionaire's tax, a millionaire's tax, and the corporations like, say, FedEx and Nike, and even Zoom, everybody's on Zoom all the time. They didn't pay any income taxes in 2020.
We're down to about 30 seconds. What do you think the prospects are? This passed by just 2 votes in the House of Representatives. We know Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema of Arizona are the ones kind of holding this up in the Senate. Do you think it's going to, what are the prospects, and when do you think we might see a vote?
Well, we're hoping to have a vote before Christmas, and we really think that Senator Manchin will do the right thing and vote to bring all of these new jobs and the benefits into West Virginia that his constituents need.
All right, we're going to keep an eye on it. We've been talking with Gary Zuckett from West Virginia Citizen Action. We're talking about the Build Back Better plan there. I said it right that time, Build Back Better. Vote coming up soon, next couple of weeks, few weeks in the way of the U.S. Senate. We'll keep an eye on it. Thanks, Gary, for being with us.
Fingers crossed.
We'll have more Inside West Virginia Politics after this break.